Hello friends, today I want to help you understand how long is a short-term rental. You might have heard that term, but maybe not sure exactly what it means. Well, by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of the typical durations of a short-term rental, which will help you better plan your stays and manage your vacation rentals. Have you ever wondered what defines a short-term rental and how long you can actually stay at one? Have you ever been curious about how rental durations might impact your travel plans or hosting strategies? Well, I'm going to dive into this strategy by first explaining what a short-term rental is and why they exist. Next, I'll explain different rental durations and where short-term rentals fit into that. And finally, I want to share some tips about getting the most out of your short-term rental when it comes to hosting guests. If you are ready, let's go. Essentially, a short-term rental is a rental that is factored by nightly rates or at the very most weekly rates, but you're basing your rental on a nightly rate. So if somebody's looking for a piece of property to rent in lieu of, say, a hotel, they're looking at what it would cost every single night to rent that piece of property. And here's the cool thing about short-term rentals. They can literally be anywhere, and they can literally be anything, especially in the experience economy we live in right now, where people want to experience something versus just stay at a hotel, right? Because hotels exist and they're great, but a lot of times it's a room, everybody's piled into one room, one bathroom, whereas a short-term rental, it could be anywhere and it could be anything. So I've seen some that are really cool that are grain silos, right? They used to be used to house grain, and they're those metal silver containers that people have now turned into short-term rental where they can experience maybe staying somewhere in the Midwest in a situation that they otherwise never would have been able to experience. There's tree houses out there that are short-term rentals. I mean, talk about fulfilling your childhood dream of staying in a tree house, but maybe one that has a bathroom, a bedroom, an upstairs, a downstairs. There's some pretty exotic ones out there that are pretty amazing. I've even seen a short-term rental, a home that has been made to look like an actual dog. And it's actually out in the middle of nowhere. If you were to go to Cottonwood, Idaho, and type in doghouse, you'd be able to see it. And it's pretty popular because it's so unique. But also, short-term rentals could be in big cities. It could be a condo, it could be a townhome, it could be a home. I mean, anywhere that people are looking to travel, there are short-term rental options everywhere. So why do they exist and why are they a big deal? Well, if you would have said short-term rental maybe 20 years ago, nobody would have known what you're talking about. 15 years, they might have started to understand, but it's really gained popularity in the last 10 years. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the main reasons they're so popular is because we are currently living in what's called an experience economy. We want to experience things. We just don't want to do things. We want the full experience. And that's not just with staying somewhere. That's with anything we do in life. You'd rather go to Build-A-Bear and make your own teddy bear rather than going and buying a teddy bear, right? And there's a lot of situations just like that. Another reason short-term rentals are popular and a big deal is because they're money makers. You probably understand this and know that the demand for traveling has not gone down. Matter of fact, it's probably only gone up, and the projections expect it to continue to go up over time. So the demand is real. People are traveling, they want to experience things, so the demand for short-term rentals is there. Plus, you are making money at a nightly rate versus, say, a monthly rate. And now there are challenges with that, right? You have a lot of guests, a lot of turnover, but just to put in perspective, I own a short-term rental close to Yellowstone National Park. It's a fairly good-sized cabin, and I used to own an apartment complex in Idaho, and this is 20 years ago, but I remember one month we brought in about $23,000 in rental income from this apartment complex, and our best month ever in the short-term rental close to Yellowstone is actually $39,000. So you can make a significant amount of money with short-term rentals. Well, now let's talk about rental durations and where short-term rentals fit into that. Well, probably the most common one that everybody's familiar with is long-term rentals. And these are places like that people want to rent in place of a home, whether it's a condo, a townhome, or an actual single family home. And typically those terms are 12 months or longer, but it's a long-term rental. Somebody plans to stay there for a long period of time. That is where they live, not where they're traveling or vacationing to, but it's where they live. It's a long-term stay, a long-term rental. However, one of the things I love about real estate is it always seems to be innovating. And so you have something now called a midterm rental, right? Where somebody can stay in a place for 1, 2, or 3 months. I remember growing up when I was in college, I would go out for 3 or 4 months and do door-to-door sales and need a place to stay for 3 to 4 months. And there wasn't anything that existed back then. And many times the company that we worked for had to go out and make special deals to find these type of arrangements. But now they're all over the place, right? Midterm rentals, these are specifically for traveling professionals, traveling medical professionals as well, people that need to go somewhere to maybe to do some training or to be in an area where there's a hospital or a corporate office for a short period of time and they need to stay there for 2 to 3 months, midterm rentals exist specifically for this. And then obviously, of course, there's short-term rentals. And this is nightly rates where people will stay for a couple nights or at the most 28 days. But one thing I noticed when COVID happened, there was people that were actually looking to stay longer than the nightly rates. They were looking to get out of the city, maybe go to the country and rent a home for maybe 1, 2, or 3 months. They were short-term rentals. They were finding them on Airbnb or Vrbo, but asking to stay a little bit longer. Even though a typical duration for a short-term rental is less than 28 days, some people were utilizing it for even longer than that. But when you think short-term rentals, we're looking at that 2 to typically 7-day stay, but not more than 28 days. So let's say that you're considering owning or buying or getting involved in short-term rentals. And if that's the case, here are a few tips and ideas that will set you apart as a host versus your competition out there. So the first thing when it comes to buying a short-term rental, this is a really good litmus test to see if it's even a good deal. And that's this. You want the annual rents coming from that piece of property to be at least 10% or more of the purchase price. So if you're looking to buy a short-term rental that costs $500,000, even to sniff at it, annual rents need to be $50,000 or more. If it's 15%, if annual rents are 15% of the purchase price, that's even better, and that's one I would really consider doing a deeper dive into. So if you're buying a home for $500,000, annual rents are $75,000. Now, the best case scenario, and we own a couple of these, where the annual rents are 20% of the purchase price. So in our similar example, if you find a property, a short-term rental that's $500,000, if you could get annual rents to be 20% of the purchase price, that is a deal that I usually say do not pass up. It's that good. So that's the first thing to understand when it comes to buying a short-term rental. And that's the litmus test that I use that will tell me, do I need to even go any further? And then I might put it into a short-term rental calculator to really give me the specifics I'm looking for. Another thing when it comes to the buying process is you want to find a piece of property that has some unique features to it. Or you need to have a plan to put some unique features into that property. You know, we bought a home close to Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I will tell you, it is at a dead end of a street, and it's about a 10-minute drive from downtown Blue Ridge, but the views are unbelievable. And everybody that visits there always comments, and when they leave a review, they're commenting on the views of that piece of property. You can see the sunset, and it gives that orange and blue hue that the Blue Ridge Mountains are famous for. And it is something that's unique about that property that can never be changed. Now, once you have the property and it's unique and it makes financial sense, you want to make sure that you have items within the home that people are going to want to have when they're traveling, right? They want to have the best experience possible. So having all of the amenities is going to be really important. And there's a ton of places online you can go look and see what inventory do I need to make my guests really happy in a short-term rental. But one thing, for example, that we've put in all of our short-term rentals is a hot tub. People want a hot tub when they're traveling. Ones that don't have it versus ones that have it probably get rented out significantly more. And another important tip when it comes to owning a short-term rental, once you own it and you have it, guest communication is going to be vital. So a lot of these people that are traveling, if they've got a question, they really expect to be answered pretty quickly. And most of them are very low maintenance, but you have some that are even low maintenance might have a question about how to do something or where to find something, and you need to be able to respond pretty quickly, right? Because the longer they have to wait, or if they don't get responded to, their experience is going to start to be much worse than they hoped it would have been in the first place. And the last tip I'll give you when it comes to owning a short-term rental is having a solid team in place, right? You want to make sure that you got a cleaning team, you got a maintenance team, especially if you're managing yourself. Because if something were to go wrong, you don't want to have to wait weeks for this to happen. So it's imperative to have those things in place, especially if you got a short-term rental that's performing. And let's say you have somebody leaving the guest today and somebody coming later in the afternoon, you got to have a cleaning team that's on top of it and be able to do a same-day turnaround when it comes to that. So these are some tips and strategies that I've used when it comes to short-term rentals. And these are the durations that I've seen that work really well when implementing short-term rentals in my real estate portfolio. But I'd be interested in your feedback when it comes to short-term rentals. So please comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, just for stopping by and watching the video, I have a free gift for you. It's actually a short-term rental calculator that I mentioned. You put in all the input of the price, the income, the expenses, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. And it's 100% free. Just click on the link below, aaronsfreetraining.com. And once again, I appreciate you stopping by. Have an amazing day.